I got COVID, and it's now been 2 weeks. Well, tomorrow it'll be 2 weeks, and since I first came down with the symptoms. So I just wanted to talk to you about what it was like, doing carnivore while on COVID, experiencing and recovering from COVID while on a carnivore diet. I made some notes here, so if you see me looking down, that's why. It was, this has been, COVID is no joke. I will say that's for sure. It definitely is a significant disease. I do have to say that I would have been in so much worse shape had I not been pretty healthy and pretty uninflamed going into this. So I am really, really pleased that I was following a carnivore diet and not like eating dairy and stuff like that, or eating any candy or sugar or anything. My level of inflammation going into it was really low, but still, I had the classic symptoms. I had I had a lot of fatigue. I had the headache. I had tons of body aches. I had fever. I had a cough. So all of that classic stuff I was having in the beginning. And I also have, asthma, and, the way my body kind of deals with inflammation, like I have asthma, allergies, and eczema. So that stuff is like under control and in remission while I eat a carnivore diet, but that doesn't mean that those aren't weak spots in my body. So I know that if I had not had this under control, I'm certain I would have been one of those people with the cytokine storm going on in the lungs, and having all of that inflammation and potentially ending up in the hospital. I definitely feel so thankful that I was eating this way, and I was determined that I was going to continue eating this way through the illness no matter what. Let's see, I don't think I ever lost my appetite, so I was eating fully. I was not so weak as, that I couldn't like get up and make myself a little bit of something to eat. So I ate, steak, I ate, hamburger, I ate, London broil, that sort of thing. So I ate good, I ate protein. I probably ate less fat the first week, maybe even week and a half. The last couple of days I've been like really craving fat. So I've been eating a lot more fat, eating beef fat trimmings, that sort of thing. But at first I was eating leaner and more protein. I don't know why that was. That was just kind of how I was wanting it. So my first symptoms first started showing up on a Wednesday night. And by Friday, I was like really knocked out. I had a low-grade fever, about 100 degrees. I had, like I said, the body aches, the fever, the headaches. I was really trying not to take any Tylenol until my temperature came down on its own, because I didn't want to, the temperature is part of the immune response, so I didn't want to bring my temperature down. But I don't know, at a certain point my headache, everything hurt so much, I was like, I gotta have some pain relief. So I did take Tylenol periodically through the weekend, but by the end of the weekend my fever had come down, and so I just was taking Tylenol around the clock as needed for for the pain and everything. So I slept just a lot. I just laid around, basically laid in bed, watched TV. I throughout this whole thing watched the entire season or the entire show Buffy the Vampire Slayer from season 1 through season 7 or 8, however long it was. I enjoyed the show, but I'm definitely buffied out, so that's over, thankfully. Let's see. So by the by the time I got to Monday and got through the weekend, I was starting to feel better. I was feeling a little more energetic. My cough was getting better. The body aches were starting to go away, but I started to notice other things, like I started getting a sinus headache, and eventually started taking some Sudafed. And that was actually notable because I used to take Sudafed all the time. I used to have sinus headaches all the time, sinus infections constantly. And I, just always struggled with that pain, and I would get like the pain here and like underneath my eyes and behind my nose and just pain around my face. And that was really common, but I didn't have that for all the time that I've been carnivore. I haven't taken Sudafed at all. So, when I started having that pain again, it was just like, it was really uncomfortable. So I finally started taking the Sudafed, and that helped a lot there. And then one day I just was like sneezing constantly. And, it was just like basically allergies all over again. And again, that was something, as soon as I went carnivore, and stopped having dairy, like all of that had gone away. And so, it was like all of this came back again. And it was, such a weird experience, and everybody who I talked to was like, oh yeah, allergies are really bad. This is a really bad season for allergies. And it's like, no, actually, I have not had allergies at all for a couple of years now. So it's weird that this is happening. So that day I took Benadryl, but then it went away and it wasn't really bothering me. The same day I also noticed I had like a rash all over my body, these big red splotches. And I actually looked it up, and it said that, rashes are apparently very common with all kinds of viruses. But a rash to do with COVID that's very common. It's the, I guess, fourth most common signal or sign, and it's not weird at all. So, the rash came and eventually it went. I only took the Benadryl that one day, and that was the day that I noticed it was most inflamed, so I assumed that, I was just inflamed. But once I took the Benadryl that one day, and thereafter, it's, it wasn't really itching, so I didn't take anything more, and it just kind of went away on its own, mostly. So yeah, that was weird. But definitely I'm feeling better. And then, let's see, last Thursday, I did my live stream, so that was really awesome, and that was my first time kind of like sitting up and doing anything for a longer period of time. Like, I had been in bed so long, and wasn't used to like engaging and being like active like that. So it was, so that was definitely new for me, and I was a little nervous about how it would all go, but I think it went really well, and I enjoyed hanging out with you. So I really appreciated having that opportunity, and it was, such a delight to be able to connect with you, because I was definitely going crazy, bored at home by myself watching Buffy and nothing else. So yes, it was a delight to have the live stream. I was actually, I really enjoyed it, but I definitely was tired afterwards because, like I said, I really haven't been doing anything but laying down. Even though I bought a kettlebell, which was the story that I told in the live stream, it's still like that doesn't make up for not moving literally all day long. So it's, I definitely have a lot of stamina to rebuild, and I will be, doing that. But I was pretty fatigued, and I slept that night very well. Then the next day, I started to notice I was feeling a little breathless, and I don't know, it was a weird sensation. And you know, but I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, well, I'm fatigued, I gotta, you know, sit more, rest more. And then on Saturday, it was really getting bad. I felt like it was hard for me to catch my breath. And I thought, this is so weird, you know, I'm like now on day 10 or day 9 of this disease, and now I'm starting to feel like I'm having a hard time breathing, and you know, and it got to be pretty bad. So I finally decided to go to the ER because I don't know. So I got there, and you know, I told them I have COVID, and it's, you know, day whatever, and I'm having trouble breathing, and I have asthma. So you know, I went through like a whole battery of tests and everything, and my blood oxygen level was perfect, 99. So I was evidently not having trouble breathing, but turns out my heart rate was really, really elevated. Like it was like 115 while I'm just sitting doing nothing. And normally, you know, it's in the low 70s. So that was really weird. Really, you know, while I was there at the ER, though, they were testing for, you know, the blood clots, or the possibility of there being a blood clot in my lungs, or, you know, or anywhere in my body. Checking my heart, making sure there weren't heart problems or other things that were caused by COVID. So, you know, all the tests came back, you know, negative or inconclusive, although the doctor had, I guess one of the things they had tested for with testing was my electrolytes, and in my sodium and calcium came back so low that she thought the numbers were off, or the sample had somehow been contaminated, and they actually came and drew the blood again to do this set of tests again. So I actually thought that was surprising, but then I was kind of like, you know, because before I had gone to the ER, I had, you know, been trying to look up like heart rate and COVID and understand how, you know, your heart rate could become so, you know, so fast. Because I could feel it when I was, even when I was still at home. And I actually have an oximeter here, so I was, throughout my illness, I have actually been testing my blood oxygen level and my heart rate. So, you know, I've been able to see that all through my illness. So, well, dehydration or having your electrolytes off is a common reason to have your heart rate be so high. And so before I left, I drank a lot of water with a lot of electrolytes, and I had been thinking about what I had been doing, and turns out I really hadn't been drinking that much water. I picked up coffee again during this 2 weeks. And you know, when I drink coffee, it always knocks my electrolytes off balance. So I think that I was drinking some coffee. I wasn't drinking that much water. I had stopped eating as much this past week, and so I wasn't getting that much salt in my food. And then I had run out of finely ground salt, and I just have like one of these coarse, you know, grinder things. But it doesn't, I don't know what's wrong with it. It's not a great grinder. So when I grind it, only a little bit of salt comes out, and it's a whole big thing just to get any salt out of it. And so I just got tired of doing it, and I just wasn't using as much salt. So I wasn't eating as much, wasn't using as much salt, was having coffee, and I think I just wasn't getting enough sodium. And so when, you know, the doctor mentioned, she wasn't even really going to tell me about my sodium and calcium being off, because, you know, she just considered it to be like a mistake. And I thought, I don't think that's a mistake. I think that's exactly what's happening. And I was like, man, you know, I am always so careful about electrolytes, but you see what can happen. Like it just, they can still get away from you. So when I came home, I was hungry, so I ate, but put a lot of salt on everything, and I really used a lot of my fasting salts, and and tried to get that up. And the doctor also prescribed calcium for me, vitamin D pills for me. I don't know. I probably need to get, caught up on that. Even when I got retested, when they retested my blood, the samples came back a little less low, but they still were low. So I don't know. I probably do need to load up on some electrolytes for a bit. So, so the moral of the story there is, stay on top of your salt. Keep your salt up. And the doctor kind of looked at me at the ER and was like, you should make sure to add salt to your food. Don't be so strict. And I'm thinking, if only you knew. If only you knew. But still, it can happen to the best of us. So anyway, my heart rate is now, it's still a little bit high, but it is getting back to where, I don't know, where it should be, in the low to mid 70s. So that's what I am, working on now. But I've been really loading up on the salt. I feel good now. I feel like I can breathe. It's still, I'm still winded, like walking the dog and doing that kind of stuff. So I still have a lot of stamina to rebuild. But I'm, I feel like I'm through it. I'm nearly through it. So tomorrow will be exactly 14 days since it all started, and feeling good. All right, so now you have an idea of what it's like when you are doing COVID and carnivore. I definitely am so much healthier for it. I think that I'd still be struggling. I would be a mess. Like, I would not be coming out of COVID well at all had I not been carnivore. Oh, and the other symptom that I forgot to mention is I lost my sense of smell, which was really upsetting. I like to smell things that smell good. So that was really a bummer. But today, I can fully smell again. I could also smell, how funky the sick bed has been. So, I did, got some air in and laundry done and all of that kind of stuff. So I definitely feel, more, light, airy, and I can smell, which I'm very happy about. So I was a little bit nervous about whether I would permanently lose my sense of smell, because I know that's been an issue for some people, but it's come back. So, whew. And then, as far as eating went, I did start to lose my appetite later, but I think, I don't know, I don't really feel like that had to do with COVID. I feel like I just haven't been doing much, so I just don't require as much food. But I definitely, have eaten at least 2 meals every day. I have, even when I couldn't smell, I don't know, meat didn't taste bad. Nothing tasted like cardboard. It was, it was still enjoyable. It still, I don't know, still tasted good to me. It was satisfying to me. I didn't feel like, I couldn't tell what I was eating or anything like that. So even without a sense of smell, meat was delicious. Hit the spot every single time. Didn't feel unsatisfied at all. And I didn't want fat all the time, so that I thought was kind of interesting. I think in the beginning I wanted more protein, and then later I wanted more fat. So, you know, so I don't know if that was just like part of the healing process. You know, early on I needed more protein. Later on I didn't. I don't know. So yeah, that's COVID, and I had it, like I had said, I had enough energy to cook, so it wasn't like I, you know, just was like physically dragging myself around. You know, I definitely laid around and slept a lot, but I was still also able to get up and fry a steak or, you know, make some food, whatever. So, yeah. So I hope that you, you know, never have to deal with this and never get COVID, and that you stay healthy and asymptomatic. But if the worst happens, then now you have, you know, some sense of what that experience is like. I'd love to hear from you. If you had COVID and you stuck with Carnivore, how did it go for you? What was your experience like? How did it compare to mine? Definitely leave your comments below, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.